In this issue of Crushing Capitalism, we discuss meaningful strategies for social movement building. Today, the working class is in dire need of a renewed movement that will pursue social justice broadly defined. Interestingly, the strategies for building an effective social movement have been given to us by both Marx and Bakunin, the two great rivals. In Marx's case, he was correct in arguing that to effectively challenge a dominant system, you need to have organization. You need to have, to a degree, some centralization and coordination, which is why he advocated the formation of workers' political parties that would participate in the political system with the ultimate goal of capturing the state, which he saw as a tool in class conflict, and he was correct about this, and ultimately establish what he advocated and called the dictatorship of the proletariat. But on the other hand, the anarchists, which eventually were the followers of Bakunin, realized that what Marx was arguing had inherently big danger. And that is that when you organize and you participate with the existing system, you run the danger of eventually becoming co-opted by that system. Bakunin argued that even if you had a revolutionary workers' party, the fact that it would participate with the dominant system meant to him that it would eventually become a reformist party. And we see that Bakunin was in fact correct. We see that all the socialist and labor parties of Europe and other progressive nations have in fact been co-opted, and today they engage in policies that are no different from the capitalist governments of the United States. But to criticize Bakunin, and to come back to Marx, you really cannot have revolutionary action by disorganized groups that can't even communicate with one another. Ironically, even Bakunin in his own efforts engaged in hierarchical organizing. So what to do then if we need organization, but at the same time we run the risk of being co-opted if we follow Marx's propositions? The answer is to combine both Marx and Bakunin, strategically speaking. What we could do is organize, create an agenda, create a common program for the progressive left through counter-institutions. Just like Gramsci argued for the need to develop a counter-hegemony to the dominant ideology, so too I argue we need to develop our own counter-institutions. In fact, this is exactly what successful movements have done when they wished to challenge the existing elite or the dominant ruling elites of their societies. In essence, they built parallel institutions to those of the official government, to those of the official economic system. We can establish our own educational institutions, workers' colleges, like they did in the 1800s and early 1900s. We can establish our own political associations to be distinct from political parties that would participate in a political process. We can create all of these different institutions that are required for a well-functioning community and keep away from the system. We can have counter-institution building that is non-participatory. So we can have, as I mentioned, our own working class institutions, be it credit unions, be it colleges, or whatever else, and refuse to participate with a corrupt, political, capitalist economic system. If we are able to manage our own affairs, if we are able to organize and run our own institutions that will service our communities and keep separate from the capitalist system and the political system, we will be in fact doing something extremely revolutionary, and that is challenging the legitimacy that underpins the foundations of any system of exploitation. We will be challenging, in other words, the legitimacy of capitalism itself and the political system that supports it. That's how you challenge the dominant system. And once people realize that they can run their own affairs, both politically and economically, then we're going to be that much closer to ending these corrupt governments, to ending the so-called capitalist system, or whatever else you want to call it, that benefits only the top 1% of any society, and establish whatever you want to call it by name, but at the end of the day, a system that would be fair not to the 1%, but hopefully to everyone. We have just as much in common with each other as we do with the Chinese citizen, or the Argentinian, or the Greek, or the Israeli. We're all brothers and sisters. And if we realize that we can manage our affairs together, collectively, without states, then we would truly be witnessing a new era of human prosperity.